Okay, Ka Halalim La, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Ruach Kodash, and double honors to great Muslim apostles. Thou Yahshai, thou Yahweh, for giving me the power in order to make this video today, and also for giving the Akim the power to go out there, preaching the hours and bars, and also to keep making videos in order to keep the Akim going. Thou Yahshai, thou Yahweh, Barak the Yahshai, Barak the Yahweh. Amen. As you can tell from the title again, it says, trials strengthen and comfort weakens in this degenerate society. I think along those lines, that's what I named it. But yeah, the essential part is trials strengthen and comfort weakens. So the point here is, sometimes in this life we have right now, obviously we're not in the kingdom. That's why we're not in a peaceful state. Sometimes in this life in Esau's kingdom, we may be tried by things, and obviously this is the season of being tried, especially through this Max, this Jabberson. You all should know what I mean. This false hope, yeah, that's pretty much being used to trial those who have faith in Yahweh Yahushai as well, who we call the elect 144,000, and Yahweh willing the rest of the 1/3 also cleave onto Yahushai. Because ultimately 1/3 of Yashala is going to be saved, as it says in Zechariah chapter 13 verse 8. That's a lot good. This isn't really a King James Bible, but it's the new King James Bible. I don't have that formal version anymore. But yeah, let me get to that. Zechariah chapter 13 verse 8. But in these times, as Akim, because in the UK especially, most Akim, like the younger brothers like myself, like I'm 18 right now, and some other brothers too, they're going to they're to uni now, university. So in that time, there'll probably be a period of time where there may be a trial of which they may say if you don't take it, they're not going to accept you. But it could either be that way, or Yahweh Shem Yahushua could show mercy upon you, and then you don't have to deal with that type of trouble. You can still be there without taking that false hope, which Yahweh Ratazar will be. Ultimately, we just need Yahweh Shem Yahushua's protection, which is all we need, because when that time of calamity comes, all this stuff won't matter, man. University won't matter. Well, so, the things of this world, the things of which people pride themselves in this world right now, those things won't matter. Grades, technology that you own at home, your house, belongings, those things are vanity. And then they'll be gone, they'll be burnt up when the World War III happens. And the nuclear missiles start shooting up and also reaching countries, especially Babylon, and obviously major cities as well, mini Babylons. So anyways, let me read Zechariah chapter 13, verse 8. It should be here. So it says in Zechariah chapter 13, verse 8, and it shall come to pass in all the land, says the Lord, that 2/3 in it shall be cut off and die, but 1/3 shall be left therein. This is verse 9. I will bring the 1/3 through the fire, will refine them as silver is refined, and test them as gold is tested. They will call on my name, which is Yahweh, and Yahushua is the Messiah's name, his son, his only begotten son. And it says here, they will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, this is my people, and each one will say, the Lord, Yahweh, is my power, my God. So we're going through that purification process each time we get a trial. For instance, a trial may be, are you willing to forsake your family when that time comes, of which they say if you don't take the max, if you don't take the actual mark of the beast, if you don't take the RFID chip, and then they say you can't be part of this family, then that will be the time that you have to forsake your family. Because ultimately we're in that period of temptation, that hour of temptation to try upon the earth. I think that's in Revelation 13. But it's within Revelation though. But let me continue. So those trials, as I said, it's a lot. As I said, trials strengthen and comfort weakens. So every time we face a trial, we're actually getting stronger, because Yahweh Shem Yahushua did say that it's going to purify us. And the only way to purify So it's basically 3 trials which represent that fire, which the fire represents in Zechariah chapter 13 verse 9. But let me actually get to that again. Because through that purification process, we get stronger and worthy of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai protecting us, which is the main aim, and ultimately salvation from Yahushai. So, come on. That's why we have to always try and humble ourselves and do the will of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai to the best of our ability. Come on. Let me get to. I'm just gonna read it again. Zechariah 13 verse 9. So lucky if it's a bit long. Okay, cool, I found it. So it says, I will bring the 1/3 through the fire, and refine them as silver is refined, and test them as gold is tested. So basically, to prove if gold is really gold, or to purify gold, or to refine silver, is through these tests, through these trials. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua wants to see, is that faith really as strongly rooted as it is in Him? Is that trust in Him as strongly rooted? That's why we may go through times of which demons will just get on you through dreams, or through other family members, or what else? Through anywhere, just temptations really, everywhere. So ultimately those things, we go through it in order to get stronger. So in order to test your faith, for instance, in order to test your faith for what else? Let's think of a circumstance. Well, yeah, let's say university. If they say that you need to take the max, you need to take that false hope in order to partake in those activities there, in order to learn in that uni, which is really just Eden's vain knowledge. Yeah, going to benefit you in the kingdom anyways. But yeah, the point is, yeah, let's say it comes to that point, you'll be like, are you going to fold, or are you going to keep going in terms of the faith in Yahweh Yahushua? Are you going to stand strong with Yahweh Yahushua? In that moment, if you really got your faith rooted in Yahweh Yahushua, ultimately you'll forsake the school, because it's not worth the sacrifice of salvation. It's not worth the sacrifice of your relationship with Yahweh Yahushua. So Khan, the same way we're being tested right now, some of us may even go homeless very soon. We just got to put our trust in Yahweh Yahushua ultimately. For instance, there was a story in Genesis chapter 28 where Jacob had to flee because of the fact that he stole Esau's blessing. I'll read it on right now. I'll read it on, I think. Yeah, Genesis 28. Genesis 28. So Khan, that was basically Jacob's little trial. To persevere in wherever he had to go, wherever he had to dwell. And Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, Yahweh ultimately was protecting him. Alright, so it says, Genesis chapter 28, then verse 11. 28 verse 11. Yeah, it should be still asleep. Yeah, calm. So it says, I'll start from verse 10. Now Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. Verse 11. So he came to a certain place and stayed there all night, because the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of that place and put it at his head, and he laid down in that place to sleep. So calm, which means he basically used a stone as a pillow. You know how hard it is to sleep on a hard surface like that. So that was his trial. Is he willing to suffer for Yahweh Yahushua ultimately, because he knew Isaac basically blessed him that based on the fact that he's gonna be part of the ones who inherit the land. I think it says here. Wait. I need to get this quickly. That's it. Wait. This was basically when Isaac blessed Jacob, I think, again, as he went away, basically. Let's see. 28. Okay, cool. So yeah, this was basically when he sent him to go to Laban. He says your mother's brother, so basically Rebecca's brother. That's where Isaac sent Jacob to, as it says here in Genesis chapter 28 verse 2. Arise, go to the Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take yourself a wife from there of the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. So that was basically where it was going, to Laban's household. Now in verse 3 it says, may God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and multiply, that you may be an assembly of the peoples. Verse 4 of Genesis chapter 28. So Genesis chapter 28 verse 4. It says, and give ye blessing of Abraham to you and your descendants with you, that ye may inherit the land in which you are a stranger, which God gave to Abraham, which obviously Allah Shadiyah, Power Almighty, Yahweh, gave to Abraham. So ultimately that promise that Yahweh gave to Abraham, that's what Isaac was transferring to Jacob. So essentially that as Jacob was there, he fled after he was blessed by Isaac. He fled, and that was his test. Basically, are you willing to endure for Yahweh? Ultimately, that's what it was. And then I think there was a part of it where he has a dream as well. That where it is here. He had a dream, or to confirm that Yahweh was with him ultimately. Yeah, okay, cool. Let me just read on. Wait, hold on. I'll read from verse 13 to 15. It says, verse 13, Genesis chapter 28, verse 13. And behold, the Lord, Yahweh, stood above it and said, I am Yahweh, Allah Shadiyah, which means Power Almighty, of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac, and the land on which you lie. I will give to you and your descendants. Verse 14. Also your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth, which means they're going to multiply a lot. It says, you shall spread abroad to the west and the east, to the north and the south. And in you and in your seed all families of the earth shall be blessed. Behold, verse 15, behold, I am with you and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done what I have spoken to you. So that's the covenant that I basically gave to Abraham, which was transferred to Isaac and then ultimately to Jacob. So yeah, man. So the point there was that Jacob basically faced a trial whether to leave or not. I mean, it's not as if he was contemplating. He was basically told by Isaac to leave, and he left. So he just had to endure through what he had to endure through. So that was his little trial. Moving on. Job, obviously, that's a famous one. He was tested a lot by Yahweh. Basically to test how much faith does he truly have. So let's go to Job chapter 1, because ultimately these are the times of which we're actually going to be tested to see, are we really rooted on this faith? I mean, on Yahweh Shai. Is our faith towards them, is our fear towards them really as high as as it's supposed to be, really? And only Yahweh Shem Yahshai knows how much faith and fear is within each brother. And obviously the sisters out there as well. So let's say Job chapter. So as you see where Job is. This is Job chapter 1 verse 12. And then read on a little bit more. Because Job went through a lot of trials, man. Had his skin gone. skin harmed with some disease. And Job also lost all his riches, man. Even his children, I think, suffered as well, or died. So this is Job chapter 1, verse 12 to 22. Job chapter 1, verse 12 to 22. Yeah, Job chapter 1, verse 12. And the Lord and Yahweh said to Satan, behold, all that he has in your power, only do not lay a hand on his person. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord, of Yahweh. Verse 13. Now there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house. Verse 14. And a messenger came to Job, and said, the oxen were plowing and the donkeys feeding beside them, when the Sabaeans raided them and took. Verse 15. When the Sabaeans raided them and took them away, indeed they have killed the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you. Verse 16. And all of this was Yahweh's will as well. That's what was done to test Job. So verse 16. While he was still speaking, another also came and said, the fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I alone have escaped to tell you. Yahweh's will as well, that there were two messengers. One messenger to report the fact that his flock, his donkeys and I think oxen as well, were basically raided, and also what else? The sheep and the servants consumed them. So basically a fire to also consume. So only two servants came in order to report, and that was Yahweh's will for them to stay alive in order to report it to Job. So come basically from test to test ultimately. Imagine hearing that right now. So verse 17 of Job chapter 1. While he was still speaking, another also came and said, so this is the third one. I might have to do a part 2 Akim, but yeah.